What's up everyone and welcome back to the MMA Talk. In a recent social media exchange that captured the attention of the MMA world, Khamzat Chimaev didn't hold back his words when addressing fellow fighter Ikram Aliskerov. The rising UFC star from Chechnya called Aliskerov an idiot after the latter suggested he would be ready to face Chimaev on short notice if the opportunity presented itself. The tension between these two fighters isn't new. Chimaev and Aliskerov share history dating back to 2019, when they met inside the Brave Combat Federation cage. That bout ended swiftly, with Chimaev securing a brutal first-round knockout victory, a performance that helped launch his name into the international MMA spotlight. Since then, both men have gone on to achieve success in their respective careers, but their paths may now be converging once again. During a recent interview, Ikram Aliskerov was asked whether he would be open to stepping in to fight Chimaev on short notice, possibly in a title eliminator or championship bout. Aliskerov responded confidently, saying, "Of course, if they offered me a title fight, I'd be ready in 2 days. I don't train with weak guys either. I'm always in shape, always training, always ready. If you're an athlete with championship ambitions and you get offered a title fight, how could you say no?" His remarks seem to convey not only his readiness but also a subtle challenge to Chimaev, implying that he remains one of the few willing to face Boers without hesitation. While Aliskerov's comments appeared respectful on the surface, they didn't sit well with Chimaev, who took offense to the idea of being called out by someone he had already defeated. Taking to his platform, Chimaev lashed out in frustration, saying, "Why do people give interviews to these idiots? When I say I'll fight someone from Dagestan, it becomes an interethnic problem. But when they say they'll fight me, it's just sport. Stop being hypocritical." Chimaev's words reflect more than just anger at Aliskerov. They touch on the broader cultural sensitivities surrounding fighters from the Caucasus region. The Chechen-born star has often spoken about how his statements are sometimes misinterpreted due to ethnic and national rivalries within the MMA fanbase. In his view, double standards are at play. When he expresses willingness to fight a fellow regional fighter, it's seen as politically charged, yet when others call him out, it's viewed as simple competitiveness. Despite the heated rhetoric, fans have been quick to speculate whether this back-and-forth could reignite interest in a rematch between the two. Aliskerov has improved significantly since their 2019 encounter, earning impressive wins and showcasing a well-rounded skill set inside the octagon. Meanwhile, Chimaev remains one of the most polarizing and dangerous fighters in the UFC, undefeated, outspoken, and constantly in the headlines. Whether the animosity between them leads to an official fight remains to be seen. But one thing is certain, the rivalry between Khamzat Chimaev and Ikram Aliskerov has once again captured the MMA world's attention, blending competitive ambition with personal pride and regional tension. And as always, when Chimaev speaks, the entire fight community listens, whether they love him or hate him. Before we jump into the next story, we have a small favor to ask. If you're enjoying the content, please give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, and tap the bell icon. It really helps us out and ensures you'll never miss an update. Move on to another news. Former UFC middleweight champion Robert Whittaker has his sights set on a unique and historic opportunity, a potential showdown with Sean Strickland in front of the White House. In a recent interview with Main Event TV, Whittaker addressed rumors about his next fight and confirmed that he won't be competing at the speculated UFC Sydney card in February, choosing instead to focus on family and aim for a monumental event later in the year. Whittaker began by clarifying the situation regarding the Sydney event, a card many Australian fans had hoped he would headline. "I want to fight in Sydney, my heart really wants that," Whittaker said, "but I just don't think it's going to happen. My wife and I are expecting a baby in just a few weeks, and I want to be there for that period. I also want to spend Christmas with my kids. I've missed a lot of those moments in the past, and this time, I don't want to be in camp during that period." For Whittaker, family has always been a top priority. Despite being one of the most respected and battle-tested fighters in the division, the former champion has often emphasized the importance of maintaining balance between his professional and personal life. The Australian fighter, known for his humility and grounded personality, made it clear that his next fight will happen only when he can give it his full focus. However, Whittaker didn't leave fans hanging. While he may not return for the Sydney card, he expressed strong interest in facing Sean Strickland, and not just anywhere. Whittaker wants to be part of the rumored White House UFC event, an unprecedented idea that has generated buzz in the MMA community. "I would love to fight Sean Strickland in front of the White House," he said enthusiastically. "For one, I think it's going to be a monumental occasion. When are you ever going to be able to fight in front of the White House again? It's a once-in-a-lifetime experience." Whittaker went on to explain why Strickland remains at the top of his wish list. "I've been trying to fight Sean for the longest time," he admitted. "We've been in the same circles for a while, and stylistically, I just like that fight. He's still ranked number 3, which puts me right back into the kind of conversation I want to be a part of, the top of the division. And beyond that, I think it'll be a fun fight. It's a fight that fans would really enjoy watching. The matchup certainly makes sense from a competitive standpoint." Whittaker, currently among the top 5 in the UFC middleweight rankings, is seeking a path back to title contention. Strickland, who briefly held the middleweight belt after defeating Israel Adesanya in 2023, remains one of the most outspoken and unpredictable figures in the sport. A clash between the disciplined, composed Whittaker and the brash, unfiltered Strickland would be both a stylistic and psychological contrast, the kind of fight that captivates fans and media alike. While no official announcement has been made about a White House card or a Whittaker-Strickland matchup, Whittaker's comments have reignited excitement about the potential. His combination of class, skill, and competitiveness continues to make him a fan favorite, and a fight on such a historic stage would undoubtedly mark one of the most memorable moments in UFC history. For now, Whittaker is focused on welcoming his new baby and spending quality time with his family, but when he returns, it's clear he wants to do so in grand fashion, under the lights, and possibly on the steps of one of the world's most famous landmarks. Move on to another news. In an unexpected and electrifying moment that sent shockwaves through both the MMA and boxing worlds, Jon Jones and Ryan Garcia faced off in a heated exchange during the promotion of the upcoming Dirty Boxing event, scheduled for October 30th. The encounter, though brief, showcased the fiery personalities and competitive spirits of two of combat sports' most recognizable figures, the UFC heavyweight champion Jon Jones and boxing's young superstar Ryan Garcia. The face-off took place during a promotional appearance meant to generate excitement for the hybrid-themed event that promises to blend elements of boxing and MMA-style striking. What began as a routine stare-down quickly escalated into a verbal exchange that felt less like promotion and more like a personal challenge. As the two athletes squared up, Garcia, known for his fast hands and flashy confidence, extended his hand toward Jones in a seemingly respectful gesture. Jones, however, declined with a cold smile. No, I don't need that handshake," he said, brushing it off as tension filled the air. Garcia smirked but refused to back down, firing back playfully, "You know you only box your head." The crowd watching the scene broke into laughter, but Jones' expression remained stone-faced. "That's fine," he replied calmly, his imposing 6 feet 4 inches frame towering over the much smaller Garcia. When Garcia tried to maintain the energy by getting closer, Jones quickly responded, "Get off me." The two continued their back and forth as security and event staff stepped in, ensuring things didn't escalate further. Garcia, never one to shy away from theatrics, laughed off the confrontation and added, "You light boy," a jab at Jones' imposing but calm demeanor. Jones chuckled briefly, replying, "That's funny. You light." Though the exchange lasted less than a minute, it instantly became a viral moment across social media platforms. Fans flooded comment sections debating whether the tension was genuine or simply part of the event's promotional build-up. From a promotional standpoint, the face-off couldn't have gone better. The Dirty Boxing event, rumored to feature crossover exhibitions and celebrity bouts, gained massive traction online within hours. Many fans speculated whether the two could ever meet inside the ring under modified rules, though such a bout remains purely hypothetical. Still, the idea of Jones, one of the greatest mixed martial artists in history, facing a flashy boxing phenom like Garcia sparks endless intrigue. Jon Jones, known for his calm yet intimidating presence, has long been considered one of the most dominant champions in MMA history. His record, filled with victories over legends, speaks for itself. Meanwhile, Ryan Garcia represents the new generation of boxing, fast, confident, and media-savvy, with a knack for turning every moment into a viral spectacle. Their face-off perfectly encapsulated that clash of eras and personalities. Jones, the seasoned warrior of the octagon, and Garcia, the digital age superstar. Whether real or staged, the moment highlighted how much crossover potential exists between the worlds of boxing and MMA, especially when fueled by charismatic figures like these two. As October 30th approaches, fans are buzzing with anticipation. Will Dirty Boxing mark a new chapter in combat sports entertainment? And could this fiery moment between Jones and Garcia be the start of something bigger? Whatever the case, one thing is certain: their brief but intense encounter has already stolen the spotlight and set the tone for one of the most talked about events of the year. Move on to another news. During the UFC Media Day ahead of his highly anticipated bout with Tom Aspinall, former interim heavyweight champion Ciryl Gane made headlines when he expressed interest in a potential future fight with Alex Pereira, the current UFC light heavyweight champion and one of the sport's most feared strikers. What began as a routine question from the media turned into a fascinating moment of crossover speculation, as Gane not only praised Pereira's skill set but also openly welcomed the idea of sharing the octagon with him, even at a historic event like the rumored White House card. The exchange began when a reporter asked Gane about the possibility of facing Pereira, hypothetically in a special setting if he were to defeat Tom Aspinall. Initially, Gane seemed a bit confused, thinking the question was about whether he would fight Pereira at the White House should the opportunity arise. With a light smile, Gane responded, "Of course I would." His tone was confident yet respectful. Classic Gane, known for his composure and good sportsmanship even when discussing potential rivals. Once the question was clarified, the conversation turned toward how Gane views Pereira as a fighter, especially in the context of a possible showdown with Jon Jones. When asked whether Pereira would have a chance of defeating the reigning heavyweight champion, Gane was quick to give a thoughtful and balanced answer. "Yes, of course," he said. "This is a fight between two warriors, and everything is possible in a fight. You never know what can happen. So, yes, 100% he has has a chance. That level of respect from Gane highlights his understanding of the unpredictability of combat sports. Despite the size and weight difference between Pereira, a former middleweight who has since conquered light heavyweight, and Jones, who is widely considered one of the greatest fighters of all time, Gane made it clear that in mixed martial arts, anything can happen on any given night. The media then circled back to Gane's own ambitions, asking if he personally would be interested in facing Pereira someday. Without hesitation, Gane confirmed, "Yes, exactly. I would be very interested in that fight." His response immediately caught the attention of fans and analysts, who began to imagine what a matchup between the elegant, technical French heavyweight and the devastating Brazilian striker might look like. From a stylistic standpoint, such a fight would be fascinating. Both men are known for their world-class striking, Gane with his fluid movement and kickboxing finesse, Pereira with his raw knockout power and precision honed from years of elite kickboxing competition. A potential Gane versus Pereira showdown would be a battle of range, timing, and tactics, with each fighter possessing the tools to end the other's night at any moment. Beyond the technical intrigue, Gane's comments also reflect his openness to challenging himself against the very best. The French star has often spoken about his desire to create legacy-defining moments in his career, and facing someone like Alex Pereira, a two-division UFC champion and global superstar, would undoubtedly be one of them. As Ciryl Gane prepares to take on Tom Aspinall, his focus remains on reclaiming heavyweight gold. However, his acknowledgement of Pereira not only shows his competitive spirit but also adds a layer of excitement to future UFC matchmaking possibilities. In an era where cross-division super fights continue to captivate fans, Gane versus Pereira could one day become a reality, and based on Gane's comments, it's a challenge he'd gladly accept. Move on to another news. UFC welterweight contender Belal Muhammad has once again called out former champion Kamaru Usman, accusing him of avoiding a fight and refusing to release footage from a podcast incident that allegedly turned physical. Speaking candidly in a recent interview, Muhammad revealed that during the recording of Usman's 4-Pound podcast, the two exchanged words that led to a tense confrontation and a slap that, according to Muhammad, has never seen the light of day. Muhammad began by addressing the long-standing tension between himself and Usman, explaining that the two were initially set to collaborate in a friendly, competitive discussion for the show. However, things reportedly took a heated turn. "We were on his podcast," Muhammad recalled. "I slapped him during the recording, and to this day, that episode still hasn't been released." The Chicago-based fighter suggested that Usman deliberately chose to withhold the footage to protect his image, claiming it exposed a side of the former champion that he didn't want the public to see. From Muhammad's perspective, the incident reflects not just a personal issue, but also a professional one. "He's avoiding me," Muhammad stated firmly. "Usman's been sitting on the sidelines. He's 1-3 in his last 4 fights and still trying to talk a big game. Meanwhile, I'm out here earning my way toward the title shot." Muhammad went on to break down the current welterweight landscape, emphasizing that a fight with Usman would make perfect sense, not only because of their personal history, but because of where both fighters stand in the rankings. "He weighed in as the backup for the title fight," Belal said. "So this is the fight that makes the most sense. If I win this, I've already finished the guy in front of me. None of these other fighters are active. Usman's injured, not fighting, just sitting back talking." He then touched on what he views as hypocrisy in Usman's behavior, referencing their past interactions. "That was the fight that made the most sense," he reiterated. "We had our podcast where I slapped him, and you'd think any man would want to get his get back after that. But the fact that he didn't tells you everything. He knows that slap hurt him, both physically and in his pride. And deep down, he knows it's a bad matchup for him." For Belal, the situation is about more than just rankings, it's about pride and principle. "For my mentality, as a man," he said, "if somebody slaps you on your own podcast and you choose not to post it or even talk about it, that says a lot about who you are. He's a coward, so I moved on." The accusations have reignited interest in a potential clash between the two top welterweights. A bout between Muhammad, who is riding an impressive unbeaten streak, and Usman, the former pound-for-pound king, would not only settle their personal differences but could also have major implications for the division's title picture. While Usman has yet to respond publicly to Muhammad's comments or the alleged incident, fans have been buzzing about the controversy. Many are now calling for the UFC to book the fight, framing it as both a grudge match and a true test for Belal Muhammad's championship aspirations. Whether or not the mysterious podcast episode ever surfaces, one thing is clear: Belal Muhammad has no intention of backing down. His message to Kamaru Usman is simple: if you're still the Nigerian nightmare, prove it in the octagon.